Welcome to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. I'm Jemma Gofton with another edition of the programme that aims to make your next cruise or holiday as problem-free and relaxing as possible. So if you have a holiday, cruise or travel-related question, here's how to get in touch. To leave a question on our viewer hotline, call 0871 423 4444. Calls cost 10p a minute from a BT landline and calls from other networks and mobiles may vary. Write on our Facebook wall or tweet us, just search Holiday and Cruise Channel. Send a message through our website www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk/clinic. or write to us at the Holiday and Cruise Channel, Cavendish House, Brighton Road, Liverpool, L22 5NG. Here on the clinic, we're regularly joined by our friends and colleagues from all the major cruise lines, and something that's becoming more and more clear is how great a cruise holiday can be, and that's even before you've taken a step ashore in some of the ports. But when you do take that walk along the gangplank to get off, where do you go next? What do you do? And how do you best take in the cultural flavour of the destination you're visiting? Well, here to tell us more is Michelle Burge from Cruising Excursions. Now, more and more people... Sorry, firstly, thank you very much for joining us. I was jumping straight in, I'm so excited. More and more people are booking excursions before they go on a holiday or cruise. Why is that? Are people wanting to be organised?
Well, I think that the desire to travel goes hand in hand with the desire to explore, and I don't know anybody who would go on holiday or go on a cruise and not want to experience the destinations that they're going to. So by forward planning, by booking the excursions before you go, you know what you want to go and see, you can plan ahead, and also with ourselves, obviously get yourself a bit better a deal on them to make the most out of your cruise holiday. Oh,
so financially there's a bit of a kickback if you are organised?
Yes, absolutely, yes, yeah.
And also, I guess, I mean, I'm just sort of reading between the lines here, if you're doing something that's outdoorsy, bike riding or, I don't know, hiking, you want to make sure you've taken the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. Forward planning is key when it comes to your holiday to make the most out of your time. Obviously, if you're only going away for, say, a couple of weeks, you know, you need to make sure that you've planned your holiday out and that you don't waste a second of it.
And I guess as well, excursions, they can only take X amount of people.
Exactly.
So there is a possibility if you're going to Rome and that's the one place you want to get off and visit, you might just not get on the excursion you want.
Yeah, and it's always disappointing, you know, if you wait until you get on board and you find then that, you know, the excursion that you had your heart set on that you wanted to do has actually sold out. What do you go and do then? You know, there's certain ports such as Rome where, with it being a good sort of hour or so from the cruise port, you can't just step off and make your own way there and back. You know, you need to have transport more than anything planned so that you can make the most out of your day.
See, that's my sort of holiday. As soon as you put the word planned in,
yeah.
Planned, I love it. OK, so tell us about some typical city break excursions. Let's whet people's appetite as to what they could be looking forward to.
OK, I mean, we've got one of our best-selling excursions, actually, is our Rome Highlights tour. From the port of Civitavecchia, you get picked up by your tour guide, taken into the centre of Rome, and you go and see the Colosseum first of all. Obviously, the main attraction, everybody wants to go and see the Colosseum. And following on from that, you go into the centre of Rome, Trevi Fountain, Spanish Steps, etc., before being taken to the Vatican, where the tour will finish and you get taken back to the cruise port. We also have a really, really popular tour in, it goes to Florence and Pisa from the port of Livorno. So you get picked up again from the cruise port of Livorno, taken to Pisa, you get to see the Leaning Tower, spend a little bit of time there for plenty of photo opportunities, obviously, with somewhere like Pisa, before being taken through the Tuscan countryside, stunning scenery, to the city of Florence, where you can see the Accademia Gallery for the statue of David, of course, maybe grab a bite to eat, have a walking tour through the city centre, and, you know, city breaks, city excursions, it's all about how much you can cram in because there's so much to see. And certainly our Rome tours, also Florence and Pisa, just as a couple of examples that we have there, are the best way of doing that. in the one day that you're there.
And while you're soaking in the culture and taking it all in, do you have people who will tell you what you're seeing, what happened here, the dates that things happened? Because I kind of wander around some cities sometimes with my guidebook and I don't take it in because I can't. I think, am I at the right place? Am I here? Am I there?
Yeah.
So will there be an expert on hand on excursions?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of our tours, we have English-speaking guides on all of our tours, unless you request a specific language, which we can always arrange. But these guides that we have, you know, they're a lot of them born and bred in the city or town that they're showing you around, and they really know their stuff. And you know, even down to sort of the smaller details, like finding a nice cafe for a coffee, you know, or finding somewhere for a nice spot of lunch. They can direct you, as well as telling you the history and the information that everybody wants to know when they're visiting these places.
Local knowledge is always invaluable on holidays, I think, because you don't, like you say, you don't want to waste a minute of your time. You don't want to get that coffee wrong, do you?
Yeah.
Or that ice cream wrong. What about unusual excursions that people would think, oh wow, I hadn't thought we could do that?
We've got some brilliant ones out at the minute, actually, and I always think, you know, the most unusual, it's the sort of places that you can't see everywhere. You know, you have to go to particular places around the world to actually experience them. One that we've got on sale currently is actually the Jamaican Caves experience. It's the Green Grotto Caves in Discovery Bay from the Port of Falmouth. And you can go there. It's one of those natural wonders of the world. Your guide takes you there, tells you all the history. I think it's about a 4-hour tour to really experience it. Also, we do have the likes of the Magical Soufriere tour from the Port of St Lucia. Castries, St Lucia, yeah. Now that one, this is a personal favourite of mine, in that you go into a drive-in volcano.
Hold on, let's rewind here for a second, Michelle. So, how are we driving into a volcano? We're going that way, or are we coming in the side?
Coming in at the side, yeah. It's the town of Soufriere, and they have the sulphur springs, and it's the world's only drive-in volcano. Now, with that, you know, where else are you going to experience it? Of course, you can go to places such as Iceland, perhaps with the volcanic landscapes and such, but to actually drive in and see that is definitely something to come back and tell your friends about. And that's what I always say, you know, when you go on holiday, when you go on a cruise, it's all about what are you going to tell your friends when you come home? What have you experienced?
Absolutely. And what about excursions for families? Because obviously, as long as the children are entertained, then we're okay, all is good. But you want it to appeal to everybody, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a really lovely tour, actually, very recently put on our website. It's the Aqualand Water Park in Kusadasi.
So that's Turkey.
In Turkey, yeah, absolutely. They have also a dolphin sanctuary, so definitely a must-see for anybody, not just for the kids in that respect as well, you know. Then, following on from that, you can go on to the thrill-seeking rides, down the flumes, and, you know, if you like me, on the lazy river instead.
So there's definitely a tick there for all the family.
Absolutely.
And like you say, it's about doing your homework ahead of time and sort of saying, OK, well, John likes this, I like that, you like this, tick, 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 these are the ones we'll do.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to do an excursion every time, do you? You could do one every other port, you know.
Of course, and that's what a lot of people do. They'll mix and match it because obviously these ships are so wonderful that they want to experience time on board as well. But it is, you know, essential to get off the ship and experience where it is that you're going.
Absolutely. Now, we have a viewer question in here. It's Michael Johnson from Bristol. Mike, thank you very much for taking the time to send us a question in. And he would like to know, is there any extra charge for single travellers? Because sometimes as a single traveller, you're penalised, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean, with ourselves, there is no extra charge, whether you're travelling as a single passenger or as a group. The only difference that it would ever make is if you're booking a private tour, which we provide. And with those, the more passengers, the cheaper it is per person. But on any of our essential collection or our shared tours, you won't pay any extra if you're a single traveller. OK, that's good news. Yeah. So there you go, Michael, you're not paying any extra there. Now, if you book before you go, what guarantees do you have if, for example, you end up not stopping at that port for, I don't know, technical reasons or problems outside of your knowledge, and you didn't know it was going to happen? So what happens there? Well, although, you know, we are an independent company, we like to work in exactly the same way as the cruise lines for peace of mind for our customers. Now, if for any reason the ship couldn't dock, bad weather perhaps, we would of course fully refund our customers if they could not do that tour. And similarly as well, we also guarantee to get those customers back on time. Now, as I said earlier, obviously, you know, price-wise, one of our biggest selling points is our price of our excursions. We do aim to be 60% cheaper than the cruise lines. Before you travel, if you do have, on the rare occasion that you would find an excursion that is cheaper than ourselves, we do have a price match guarantee also, so we can guarantee that you will get the best price for those tours that you're doing.
Wonderful. Well, listen, we're going to have a quick break, so don't go anywhere. Plenty more questions for you. Okay, so if you're new to cruising and you like the sound of exploring new destinations, then this is our first time guide to cruise holidays, and it's well worth asking for. It's absolutely free of charge. I know we spoil you. Just give us a call, 0871 423 4444. Now, calls will cost 10p a minute from a BT online, and other networks of mobiles may vary. You can also ask for a copy through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk. Whilst you're asking for this, we'll take a quick break. See you shortly. Welcome back to the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. It is lovely to have you with us. In today's programme, we're exploring what options are available when planning your excursions for your next cruise holiday. And Michelle Burge is still with me. Now, Michelle, let's talk about the types of tours people can do, because I was thinking, you know, if you were going somewhere romantic and you were maybe thinking of proposing, I don't know, I'm throwing it out there, you know, do you do sort of single tours that you could book, and are they available? Is that type of thing available to people? Of course,
yeah. We have private tours available where you would have your own driver guide who can literally take you wherever you want to go in that destination.
And what about larger, you know, do you get on the end of a big old tour with somebody and just join in and get involved with people?
Of course, yeah. I mean, we have a lot of shared tours available. These are actually the most popular in that they see the main points of interest that anybody wants to go to when they're in that destination. Also, I think that it's important, you know, for a lot of people to be with a larger group for that security, for that comfort, you know, whilst they're away from home.
Okay, and what about, you know, what about these tours that might be a bit rugged and whatever? Do you just have some wheelchair accessible tours as well?
Of course, yeah, we do. We in many destinations now, we have the wheelchair adapted tours available with the wheelchair adapted vehicles, and with that also you would have your driver guide again in order to assist you on the tour.
Now that's fabulous, because we've answered Harriet Richmond's question from Bishop Stortford there. So there you go, Harriet. You needn't be worried. There is a tour out there for you. What about top destinations that people want to visit? Yeah. You know, we're making a tick list. Where are they?
Okay, so our biggest tours, you know, the main ones, we've got Rome, of course, with our Rome Highlights tour, as I mentioned earlier. We also have Livorno, we have Barcelona as well.
Oh, now Barcelona is an exciting place to go to, isn't it? And I would say about Barcelona is, if, you know, you're just exploring Europe, it's a great place to have a little look around. So what would be a typical excursion in Barcelona? What would people really need to see?
Well, of course, there's the Sagrada Familia, not to be missed. Which
is the cathedral that's right. Not yet finished. And
yes.
Is it ever going to be finished? We don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? There's also La Ramblas, where you have the, what are they called? You know, the statues, the living statues.
The living statues.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Right.
Not for the faint-hearted. When I walked up that street, I was scared to death with them jumping out at me.
It is great fun, though, up there, isn't it? Because it's a real mix, a medley of sounds and smells and tastes, and sitting having a coffee there, for me, it's Europe in a package, really.
Oh, exactly right. There's also the Nou Camp, of course, as well, and that is becoming increasingly popular, particularly for the football fans, but also, you know, for anybody visiting Barcelona, an amazing stadium to see, and a lot of our clients are going there now.
And Gaudi Gardens as well, that's always a nice place, isn't it?
Of course, the architecture in Barcelona is spectacular, so it's definitely one not to be missed.
You do walk around with your eyes like this all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about Barcelona. What about sort of walking tours and going on bus tours? Are there some different things people can do out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, walking tours aren't for everybody. You know, a lot of people like the comfort of the coach. The commentary, particularly as you're going around on the coach, can be, you know, valuable to those customers wanting to learn about that destination. One of our best tours in St. Petersburg, actually, it visits the Hermitage, Peterhof Palace, Catherine's Palace, Peter and Paul's Cathedral, and that tour, you know, a main part of it is on the coach, but people absolutely love it because they come away knowing all about this beautiful Russian city.
What about visas? You know, when you're chopping and changing to different places, you're not quite sure what you need and what you don't need.
Yeah, we provide the visas, particularly for our St. Petersburg tours, which actually, you know, price-wise, it's a lot better for your customer to have them included in the excursion, because to buy them separately can be that bit more expensive. But also it takes all of the planning out of it. You know, you don't have to worry about applying for it before you travel, as it's all sorted by ourselves before you go.
Now, I would say the thing about excursions is, and tours, that if you were saying to your 8 and 13-year-old, we're doing this, we're doing that, they'd be like, yawn. But would you say it's a good educational point for them, and we could get them a little bit excited?
Oh, of course, definitely. I mean, there's so much to learn out there, you know, there's so many parts of this wonderful world that we live in, and there's so many interesting facts to you know, learn, and the best way to learn that is to actually be there and to see it for yourselves. And that is what an excursion is all about to me. You know, it's finding out about where you are, what you're doing, and you come away a fountain of knowledge of Barcelona or St. Petersburg or wherever because you've experienced it yourself.
Is that the difference from a textbook? Is if you're taking the kids around and you're actually showing them somewhere that's quite interesting. So perhaps it might just go in and they might learn something.
To me as a child, you know, reading up in a book about a place, it wouldn't interest me in the slightest. But to actually visit Barcelona, as an example, fascinate me. And to this day, I would remember exactly what I'd seen on that holiday.
And would you say that there is an excursion or a little trip tour for absolutely everybody?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's particularly for us, we have the Marseille and Aix-en-Provence tour actually, but also Mount Teide and Timanfaya National Park for Lanzarote and Tenerife. Those two destinations, what's not to love about beautiful landscapes, volcanic landscapes, history, you know, a little bit of intrigue about the past, about the history of what's happened in these places. And, you know, whether you're in your 80s or, you know, you're 8 years old, you're going to love it.
But the ones we're talking about here are all quite out, you know, get your walking boots on and blah, 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 blah. If you wanted something a little bit more sedate, where would you say is a lovely place to visit if you were just kind of chilling, kicking back, taking in the scenery and smelling the flowers?
I would say in the Caribbean, we have a lot of tours that, you know, it's all about relaxation. A lot of the tours that we have out there, they are very much on the coach, going around with the commentary and such, stopping off here and there along the way, perhaps at the rum distilleries, which are very popular, very popular over there, and also, you know, spending a couple of hours on the beautiful Caribbean beaches.
OK, so let's just start recapping about excursions because we want to make sure that people have got it. Do people need to be organised and book in advance?
Yes, absolutely. So as not to miss out and so as to get the best price for your excursions, always book in advance.
And if there are any issues or problems, it doesn't matter because you've booked and you're all sorted. So if you can't stop at a certain port... Yeah,
we will look after you in that respect. We will either arrange for a new tour or we'll fully refund if it can't go ahead, if you can't do it.
And if you're booking a tour and you fancy going with a group of 15 people, or you fancy just going with your fiancé, or you fancy just taking the 2 kids, are there tours out there for everybody?
Of course, yeah. We cater for all types of tour of customers that we have, and you know, all you have to do is call and speak to us. We actually, you know, we have a groups department who can look at group tours particularly for you and find out exactly what you want to do.
And where in the world do you think is the place to see and go?
To me, one of the nicest parts of the world certainly is Naples, Sorrento, the Amalfi Coast in Italy.
Oh, now does George Clooney have a place there? Is that where he is?
It's very possible.
Yes,
And
sold, I'll go there.
It certainly would attract a lot of people if he did.
So what's the appeal of the Amalfi Coast?
So of course you've got Pompeii and Herculaneum and Mount Vesuvius as well. Those are the main attractions that people go and see in this area. But alongside of that is obviously the scenery for the Amalfi Coast, and the drive along the Amalfi Coast itself between Naples and Sorrento is just spectacular. I mean, Positano from above, which actually our tours include there, and you can see right out to sea, you can see right over this beautiful town, and it's definitely one not to be missed. Wonderful.
Okay, and what about if you were having it as just your little taster, you've never really done an excursion before, where do you think gives you a real taste of Europe?
I would definitely say our Rome Highlights tour, in that it captures everything about Europe that people want to see. You know, the history, the architecture, obviously with the Vatican itself holds a big religious interest there, and it's just wonderful, you know. And whether you're a child, whether you're that bit older, it is just perfect.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for your time. You've made me want to go on holiday now, rather than be sat in here in the studio. Now, just a quick reminder about this. It's our first time guide to cruise holidays, and it's absolutely free of charge. Just give us a call, 0871 423 4444. Now, calls will cost 10p a minute from a BT landline, and other networks and mobiles may vary. Don't forget, you can also ask for a copy through our website, www.holidayandcruisechannel.co.uk, where you can also get in touch with your questions for future programmes. Okay, that's all we've got time for on today's edition of the Holiday and Cruise Clinic. My huge thanks to Michelle Burge, and thanks to you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.